Hi everyone. Today we explore Lecture 7 of Urantia Book Core 100 Lectures, The Eternal Isle of Paradise. When you hear the word paradise, what comes to mind? A pleasant garden? A poetic metaphor? A religious idea? Today we step into something far more magnificent, a revelation of paradise as an actual, material and spiritual isle at the very center of the universe of universes. The eternal abode of the universal Father, the eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit. Over the course of 20 slides, we will journey through the nature, structure, functions, and ultimate meaning of paradise. We will read directly from paper 11 of the Urantia Book, allowing the text to speak for itself. This is not mythology, this is cosmology, a revelation of the actual architecture of infinity. Please take about 2 minutes with each slide, settling to scale of what we are about to explore. Our journey begins now. This lecture unfolds across 10 topics, each explored over 2 slides, one explanatory and one featuring a direct quotation from the Urantia Book. We begin with the fundamental questions. What is paradise? We then examine God's personal residence there, the physical structure of this extraordinary isle, and its 3 distinct zones, upper, peripheral, and nether paradise. From there, we explore the cosmic mechanics, space respiration, paradise gravity, and the unique status of paradise in the totality of reality. We close with what may be the most personally significant teaching in all of paper 11, that paradise is the actual, real, and distant destiny of every mortal soul who chooses to do the Father's will. The scale of what we will explore today is genuinely staggering, but as the Urantia Book promises, you need it, only wait, and ascend while you wait. Let's begin. So what is paradise? To understand paradise, we must dramatically expand our cosmic frame of reference. The universe as modern astronomy reveals it, hundreds of billions of galaxies, spanning tens of billions of light years, all of this constitutes only a fraction of what the Urantia Book calls the master universe. And at the very center of that master universe is paradise. Paradise is not an abstract concept or poetic metaphor. It is described as the most gigantic, organized body of cosmic reality in all of existence. And remarkably, it is both material and spiritual, a real, locatable place. Its composition is extraordinary. Paradise is made of absolutum, a substance found nowhere else in all the vast universe of universes. It is the original, non-spiritual expression of God's own being, and it cannot be duplicated. Perhaps most strikingly, this is where God personally resides, not symbolically, literally, and personally. The Universal Father has a home. It is paradise. The nature of paradise. Let us read this opening paragraph of paper 11 carefully. 3 extraordinary claims are packed into these few sentences. First, paradise is the eternal center of the universe of universes, not just our galaxy, not just the observable universe, the universe of universes. The totality of all organized creation has a center, and that center is paradise. Second, it is the abiding place of the Universal Father, the Eternal Son, and the Infinite Spirit. God has a home. God has an address. This is not metaphor. The text is emphatic. Third, and perhaps the most philosophically significant, paradise is a material sphere as well as spiritual abode. The eternal home of God is not purely ethereal or imaginary. It is material. It is real in the same sense that a star or planet is real. The final sentence, spirit things and spiritual beings are real, is almost a rebuke to our materialistic assumptions. The Urantia Book insists that spiritual reality is not less real than physical reality. It is, if anything, more so. The divine residence. The Urantia Book makes a claim that is both simple and staggering. God has a home and you can find it. At the center of the upper surface of paradise, the Universal Father personally resides. Around him is the presence of the Eternal Son. Around them both, the glory of the Infinite Spirit. Three concentric zones of divine presence as illustrated here. This is not metaphorical language. The text describes God's residence in the same terms one might use to describe a geographic location on earth. And it draws a direct comparison. We know where New York and London are, even if we have never visited. God's residence is known in the same way, certain, real, locatable. The cosmological implication is profound. Every gravity circuit, every ascending personality, every spiritual energy in the universe ultimately converges on this one point. The entire structure of reality is organized around this single residential center. God is not everywhere in a diffuse, impersonal sense. God is personally, literally, actually present at a specific place, and that place is paradise. The road to paradise. This passage from paper 11, section 1, verse 3 is one of the most personally moving in all of paper 11. Read it slowly. You could be piloted through universe upon universe and from circuit to circuit, ever journeying inward through the starry realms, until at last you stand before the central shining of the spiritual glory of the Universal Father. The imagery is breathtaking. Universe upon universe, circuit after circuit, an inward journey through the starry realms. This is not poetry designed to inspire. It is a description of an actual ascension career that awaits every mortal soul who chooses the Father's will. The comparison to finding cities on earth is deliberately down to earth. We have never visited Tokyo or Cairo, but we know they are there. In the same way, paradise is real, locatable, and reachable, given the right qualification and guidance. And perhaps the most important word in this passage, spiritually qualified, the journey to paradise is not a matter of physics or distance alone. It is a matter of spiritual growth. That growth begins here, now, in this life. Nature of Eternal Isle. Paper 11 describes paradise with remarkable physical specificity. Let us examine these details. Paradise is not spherical. It is ellipsoid. The north-south diameter is 1/6 longer than the east-west diameter. The isle is essentially flat with a thickness only 1/10 of the east-west width. Picture a vast flattened cosmic disk. This asymmetry has cosmological functions. The greater out pressure of force energy at the north end, combined with the stationary status of paradise, allows for the establishment of absolute direction in the master universe. Paradise is the universe's fixed reference point. Its substance, called absolutum by the Melchizedeks of Nebadon, is found nowhere else in the universe of universes. It is neither alive nor dead. It is the original non-spiritual expression of the first source and center. And crucially, paradise is without duplicate. There is only one. The statement that paradise exists without time and has no location in space is philosophically profound. The home of all reality transcends both time and space. Yet it is the source and center of both. Absolutum, the unique absence of paradise. Not to be found elsewhere in all the wide universe of universes. Let that praise rend. Think of what we know about the universe. Hydrogen, helium, carbon, the same elements found in stars billions of light years away. The universe is remarkably homogeneous in its physical composition, and yet here is a substance, absolutum, that exists only in one place, in one object, in all of infinite reality. This paradise source material is neither dead nor alive. This is a third category of existence beyond the binary we usually apply. Not inert matter, not living tissue. Something else entirely. The original non-spiritual expression of the first source and center. And the closing statement deserves to be read slowly. It is paradise, and paradise is without duplicate. There is only one, in all of infinity, in the entirety of past, present, and future existence. There is one paradise. It cannot be copied, replicated, and reproduced. It stands absolutely alone as the foundation and center of all that is. The holy area, Upper Paradise. Upper Paradise is organized into three grand zones moving outward from the center. The innermost is the zone of deity presence itself, where the Trinity personally resides. The text is honest about our limitation here. It is wholly spiritual, and we are almost wholly material. A purely spiritual reality is, to a purely material being, apparently non-existent. We cannot yet comprehend it. The most holy sphere surrounds this inner zone. It is reserved for the highest spiritual activities, worship, trinitization, and supreme spiritual achievement. No material structures, no purely intellectual creations. This is the zone of direct encounter with the divine. The outmost zones. The holy area is where ascending mortals will eventually reside. 7 concentric zones, often called the Father's Paradise Mansions. This is our ultimate destination. And here is a staggering fact about scale. The text tells us that even with billions upon billions of residential units assigned, the staggering number occupies considerably less than 1% of the assigned area. There is room enough for everyone who will ever ascend, now and in all of eternal future. The most holy sphere. These two passages are, in a sense, the most honest admission in all of paper 11. The author, a high spiritual being, frankly confesses, "It is useless for me to undertake to portray to the human mind the divine nature and the very beauteous grandeur of the most holy sphere of paradise." Why useless? Because this realm is wholly spiritual and you are almost wholly material. There is a fundamental perceptual gap between what paradise truly is and what our material minds are currently capable of receiving. This is not evasion. It is intellectual honesty. The Urantia Book does not claim to reveal everything. It reveals what you can receive and then admits the limits. But the second passage turns limitation into invitation. You must wait and ascend while you wait. This is our calling. We cannot yet comprehend the most holy sphere of paradise, but we can grow toward it. We can ascend. The limitation is not permanent, and it is starting point of a journey. What we cannot understand today, we will understand as we ascend. The incomprehensibility of paradise is not a war. It is a horizon beckoning us forward. Peripheral and nether paradise. Paradise has three domains, and we have now explored the upper. Let us briefly examine the other two. Peripheral paradise functions somewhat like a cosmic port of entry. All personality transports destined for paradise land there, in the regions near the non-pervaded space zones. 7 trillion historic and prophetic exhibit areas are here, dedicated to creator suns and their local universes. Yet, even this staggering number occupies only about 4% of the peripheral area. The rest, we are told, is reserved for creations yet to be situated beyond the borders of present known superuniverses. Nether paradise is a different matter entirely. No personality resides there. It has nothing to do with spirit intelligences. But it is the ultimate origin of all physical energy and cosmic force in the universe of universes. Its inner zone acts as a gigantic cosmic heart, sending pulsations to the outermost borders of physical space. Its outer zones pulsates in cycles of more than a billion years, outgoing for a billion years and incoming for a similar period. The cosmic heart. A gigantic heart whose pulsation directly currents to the outermost border of physical space. Sit with that image for a moment. Right now, at the very instant, the innermost zone of nether paradise is pulsating, and those pulsations are directing force energies outward to the outmost borders of physical space, wherever that may be. Every star you see tonight, every atom in your body, every quantum of energy at work in the physical universe, ultimately traceable back to the pulsating force center beneath paradise. The text notes something intriguing. The force pressure is greater at the north end of paradise than at the south, and the mother force of space seems to flow in at the south and out at the north. The universe breath in and breath out through paradise. This is not mysticism. This is the authors of Urantia Book describing the actual mechanics of physical reality at the most fundamental level accessible to their observation, and then admitting honestly that the circulatory system involved is unknown. The heartbeat is real. Its mechanism remains a mystery. The universe breathes. This is the astonishing concept introduced in section 6 of paper 11. All of space, the entire volume of pervaded space in which the physical universe resides, alternately contracts and expands. The full cycle takes approximately 2 billion Urantia years. Each page, expansion or contractions, lasts a little more 1 billion years. This respiration is a total phenomenon. As the universes of pervaded space expand, vast reservoirs of unpervaded space above and below, paradise contracts and vice versa. The metaphor offered is an hourglass. When the upper chamber empties, the lower fills. Most remarkably, pervaded space is now approaching the midpoint of expanding page. We are living in an expanding universe, a fact confirmed by 20th century's astronomy. The Urantia Book described this cosmological reality decades before its general acceptance in science. The mechanism is unknown. The text admits this openly. But the fact is observed. All space alternately contracts and expands. The universe inhales and exhales. And paradise is the still point around which this cosmic breathing occurs. Expansion and contraction, the rhythm of the universe. Notice the opening words. We do not know the actual mechanism of space respiration. This is one of the most intellectually significant phrases in all of paper 11. The author, who are high celestial beings with knowledge vastly exceeding ours, openly admit they do not know the mechanism of what they are observing. They observe, they describe, they offer a helpful metaphor, the hourglass, but they do not claim to explain what they cannot explain. This kind of intellectual honesty is, paradoxically, one of the strongest arguments for authenticity of the Urantia Book. A fabricated text would be tempted to invent a mechanism to fill the gap with something plausible sounding. Instead, the authors say, we observe this, we do not know why. The hourglass image is worth posing on. Picture it above paradise, a vast reservoir of unpervaded space. Below paradise, another. As the horizontal universe expands outward, this vertical reservoir contracts, like sand flowing from one chamber to another. Then the cycle reverses. Paradise gravity. Why does the universe hold together? Why do hundreds of billions of galaxies maintain orderly structure across billions of light years? The Urantia Book's answer is direct: paradise gravity. Section 8 describes three distinct types of gravity operating in the universe. The most fundamental is the absolute paradise gravity, the all-powerful grasp of physical presence of paradise. Everything in every universe responds to this force without exception. Linear or electromagnetic gravity is more familiar to us. It is gravity of physics, operating through the electrical stage of energy and matter. The third type is the most personally significant: spiritual gravity. This is the drawing power of eternal Son, a spiritual force that pulls all spirit personalities toward God. Think about what this implies. Our deepest spiritual yearning may not be self-generated. They may be a response to an actual force, the spiritual gravity of paradise, pulling us to pulling us home. The Urantia Book says, paradise is the absolute source and the eternal focal point of all energy matter in the universe of universes. Every form of energy, every particle of matter, every spiritual personality, all of it originates from and is held by paradise. The omnipotent strand starts strong on paradise. Gravity is the omnipotent strand on which are struggling the gleaming stars, blazing suns, and whirling spheres which constitute the universal physical adornment of the eternal God. This is one of the most beautiful sentences in paper 11. Read it again slowly. Gravity, the force that holds the universe together, is here reimagined not as a cold physical law, but as an omnipotent strand. And on the strand are strung every gleaming star and blazing sun is creations. They are not random, they are adornment. They are the decoration of an eternal God, who is all things, fills all things, and in whom all things consist. This is a cosmological statement as much as theological one. The universe is not an accident floating in a void. It is held, gripped, the text says, by the physical presence of paradise. Tonight, when you look at the night sky, consider every point of light you see is strung on this strand. This gravity that holds each star in place is the same gravity that emanates from the eternal home of God. You are looking, in a very real sense, at the handiwork of paradise, the adornment of the eternal God. The uniqueness of paradise. Section 9 of paper 11 addresses the uniqueness of paradise. What sets it apart from everything else in reality? Four aspects are especially important. First, paradise is both the primal origin and the final destiny. Every form of energy matter originates there. Every ascending personality is ultimately headed there. It is the alpha and the omega of the material and personal universe. Second, paradise is the geographic center of infinity. Yet it is not part of universal creation. It is not even a real part of Habona. It is, the text says, an eternal and exclusive existence. It belongs to no category. It simply is. Third, and this is crucial philosophical distinction, paradise is not God. God's home is not God. Paradise has no personality, no consciousness, no will. It is the non-spiritual, non-personal expression of the first source and center. God causes it, but it is not God. First, paradise is the absolute of patterns. Everything beautiful and orderly in creation, every perfected world, every organized universe is ultimately patterned after the absolute of patterns that is paradise. Creation is, in a sense, paradise expressing itself in time and space. The center of all creation, the source of all energies. This passage is the great summary statement of paper 11. 3 sentences that encompass everything. Paradise is the universal headquarters of all personality activities. Every person, every minded volitional being ultimately centers on paradise. Every personality circuit flows through it. The source center of all force, space, and energy manifestations, every proton, every photon, every electron, every quantum of energy in the physical universe It all traces back to paradise. Everything which has been, now is, or is yet to be, has come, now comes, or will come forth from this central abiding place of eternal cause. Past, present, future. Notice the three tenses deliberately used. This is not historical. This is not merely cosmological. It is ongoing. Right now, things are coming forth from paradise. In the future, things we cannot imagine will come forth from paradise. And the conclusion. Paradise is the center of all creation, the source of all energies, and the place of primal origin of all personalities. The moral destiny. We have now arrived at the most personally significant questions of this entire lecture. What does all this have to do with us? The Urantia Book's answer is breathtaking. Paradise is the actual destiny of mortal souls, not a metaphorical destination, not a poetic idea. It's an actual place, that place we have been studying all lectures, that every God-knowing mortal who chooses the Father's will one day reach. The journey has 4 great pages, illustrated here. It begins here, in this life, on this evolutionary world. The moment you choose to do the Father's will, the long paradise trail has begun. From this world, we ascend through our local universe, then through the super universe, then through the billion worlds of Habona, and finally paradise. Every God-knowing mortal who has espoused the career of doing the Father's will has already embarked upon the long paradise trail. Already embarked, not will someday begin. That trail has already started. If you are seeking God, if you are choosing good, if you are reaching toward what is highest and best, you are already on the paradise trail. This journey is long. It spans eons, but it has already begun. Conclusion. The glory of paradise. We close with the most stunning sentence in all of paper 11. Let us read it one final time together. And when such an animal origin being does stand, as countless numbers now do, before the God's own paradise, having ascended from the lowly spheres of space, such an achievement represents the reality of a spiritual transformation bordering on the limits of supremacy. Animal origin being, that is us, we evolved. We began as animals on this small world in an outer reach of super universe. We are, in the grandest cosmic perspective, humble creatures of the material realms. And yet countless numbers now do stand before the gods of paradise. This is not a future hope. This is a present reality. Right now, as we sit in this room, there are beings who were once like us, mortal, material, uncertain, who have completed the journey ahead and stand in the personal presence of the Universal Father. A spiritual transformation bordering on the limits of supremacy, the transformation that takes us from here to there, from this room to paradise, is described as approaching the very limits of what is possible in the universe. 3 truths to carry with you from these lectures. Paradise is real, not a metaphor, not a symbol, an actual place at the center of universe of universes. God can be found. He dwells there personally and literally, and the path to His presence is open to all who choose it. The journey has already begun if you're seeking truth, choosing goodness, reaching toward God. You are already on the long, glorious paradise trail. Thank you for joining this lecture. The journey